VIPs are supposed to watch, rich, untouchable, betting on who dies next. But what if some were playing instead? We know it's possible. Il-nam did it. The frontman did it. Two players who weren't just contestants, but insiders. But were they the only ones? Some players weren't just lucky, they were fearless, untouchable. What if the guards had a list of players they couldn't eliminate? Il-nam had that protection, but who else did? Because as we break down these hidden VIPs, one thing becomes clear. Some players were never in danger to begin with. And if that's true, how deep does this go? Let's find out. Starting with the dumbest theories and working our way to the ones that actually make sense. Our first so-called secret VIP, player 125.
What's your name? I'm Minsu.
He wasn't a major character, but he stood out. Younger, well-groomed, and way more put together than most contestants. While others looked desperate, he carried himself with a weird sense of confidence, and that's all it took for the theories to start. Some fans were convinced he was a VIP in disguise. Why? Because the actor playing him, Lee Dae-wit, has a name similar to David Lee, who played one of the masked VIPs in Season 1. That's it. That's the whole theory. People thought player 125 was actually VIP 3 hiding in plain sight. But here's the problem. They're not the same person. Lee Dae-wit and David Lee are completely different actors. This whole thing started because of a name mix-up. And even if that weren't the case, player 125 didn't act like a VIP. He wasn't calm or calculating like Il-nam. He was scared, hesitant, panicked, exactly what a real contestant would do. So yeah, this one's a bust. But some players, they weren't just lucky, they were untouchable. And the next one might have actually been a VIP. One of the most suspicious players in Squid Game? Player 149. At first glance, she's just a frail old woman. But somehow, she lasted way longer than she should have. And the way she played? Something felt off. First, she snuck a knife into the games, hidden inside a traditional Korean hairpin. That should have been impossible. The guards confiscated everything remotely dangerous, yet she kept a weapon.
If anyone here tries to mess with me, I'll...
Then there's the way she treated the guards.
Is it too much to ask to pee when I need to? What did I do in my past life to deserve this?
While most players begged or followed orders, she straight up negotiated with them and won. The guards who never break rules gave her special privileges like unsupervised bathroom breaks. And during the mingle game, everyone thought she was about to die until player 001, the frontman, saved her. He had no reason to help, yet he did. Then came the riot. When player 120 tried to fight the guards, she stopped him.
Don't. This isn't a good way to die.
Some say she did it for survival. Others believe she knew the real risks, and she didn't just stop him, she stopped her own son from joining the fight too. And finally, the wildest theory of all? Some fans think she might be Il-nam's wife.
My wife and I had this one here. I raised my son right in here.
Their age, behavior, and influence in the game are oddly similar. Coincidence? Maybe. But Il-nam had fail-safes to keep him alive? What if player 149 had the same protection? But then again, these are just theories. The hairpin might not have been smuggled in. Traditional Korean hairpins are common accessories. Maybe the guards just overlooked it. Stopping player 120 might have just been instinct. Anyone could see that attacking the guards was a death sentence. And the biggest counterpoint to this, her son had to play due to his own debt. If she had that much power, why was he forced into the games at all? Wouldn't she have protected him instead of letting him risk his life? So yeah, she's not a guaranteed VIP, but she's suspicious. And if she wasn't the only one, our next player might have had even deeper ties to the VIPs. If player 149 was suspicious, player 100 might be even worse. At first, he just seems like another desperate contestant, someone who lost everything and had no choice but to enter the games. But once you start looking closer, something doesn't add up. First, let's talk about his insane debt.
100 Im Jung-dae. Total debt 10 billion.
He's 10 billion won in the hole, a ridiculous amount of money, even compared to the other players. Sure, a lot of contestants owed millions, but his debt is VIP level, and that's where things get interesting. Some fans believe he wasn't just a contestant, he was a former VIP who lost a bet. Maybe he was so confident in his knowledge of the games that he made a reckless wager, and when he lost, he was forced to play, and his attitude? Way too calm. Unlike other desperate players, he wasn't afraid of dying. He constantly pushed people to keep playing like he was more interested in watching the chaos unfold than actually winning. Could he have been one of the VIPs who got too cocky, lost big, and had to face the consequences? But then again, there's another way to look at it. Some players are just arrogant. His confidence doesn't necessarily mean he was a VIP. It could just be his personality. And while his debt is insane, that doesn't mean it's connected to the VIPs. Plenty of players owed life-ruining amounts of money. So is he a VIP who lost everything? Or just another overconfident gambler who got in too deep? But if his debt raised questions, the next player's disappearance raises even more. If you thought player 100 was suspicious, wait until you hear about player 388. At first, he seems like just another contestant, but dig a little deeper and things start to get weird. First, he's mysteriously absent during key moments. During red light, green light, he's nowhere to be seen. Then, during the voting sequence, the announcer calls for player 388 after 390.
Player 388.
But instead of stepping forward, player 389 does. It's like he wasn't there at all. Fans went back and checked. He literally does not appear in shots where he should be standing. Then, when we finally see him,
Kong Daeho, that's me.
Ah, Daeho, sure.
Yes.
After being missing during key moments, player 388 suddenly appears right near Gi-hun's group, one of the most important player alliances in the game. Not only that, but his positioning puts him in close proximity to the frontman's operations. It's almost like he was placed exactly where he needed to be. And then there's his name.
Kong Daeho. Dae as in huge, Ho as in tiger.
Oh, now that's a cool name right there.
Which is suspiciously close to the animal-themed masks the VIPs wear. Except there's no tiger mask. Some fans believe this isn't just a coincidence, it's a clue. But here's where it gets even stranger. Some believe player 388 wasn't just a VIP in disguise, but an undercover guard, or even a manager. His disappearances, vague backstory, and odd behavior make him stand out in a way no other player does. Maybe he wasn't playing at all. Maybe he was there to monitor specific contestants. But then again, maybe there's a simpler explanation. Some believe he never served in the military at all. So is player 388 a VIP in disguise, a guard undercover, or just a guy with a complicated past? One thing's for sure, in the world of Squid Game, nothing is as it seems. And if VIPs were secretly entering the games, wouldn't they need some kind of protection? A way to make sure they never actually died? Because this next theory, it changes everything. We've seen VIPs enter the games, contestants disappear without explanation, and players who never seem to be in real danger. But what if they weren't just lucky? What if they knew they couldn't die? There's a theory that certain players were secretly marked as special and couldn't be eliminated no matter what. And we already know this kind of protection exists. Il-nam had it. The guards ignored his mistakes, let him roam freely, and when it was time for him to die, they staged the entire thing. But was he really the only one? Take player 149. She smuggled a weapon into the games, got special privileges like unsupervised bathroom breaks, and the frontman personally intervened when she was in danger. Then there's player 100. He never acted like someone fighting for survival. He pushed others to keep playing, seemed unfazed by death, and never looked scared. And then, of course, player 388, the contestant who disappeared from an entire episode without explanation. If this theory is true, Squid Game wasn't just a cruel competition. It was completely staged. Which leads us to the real question. Who decides who gets protected? Is it only VIPs who can enter the game safely? Or do the organizers handpick certain players for reasons we don't know? And if the games are this controlled, then what does that mean for past winners? So, do these theories actually make sense? Let's be real, some of these ideas are ridiculous. Player 125, a name mix-up. VIPs joining the games every year for fun? Makes no sense. Player 388, suspicious, but could be an editing mistake. But some of these theories aren't that crazy. We know VIPs have entered the games before. We know Il-nam had protection. And we know players have gotten special treatment for reasons that don't add up. So maybe there aren't multiple VIPs hiding in every game. But maybe some contestants really were never in danger to begin with. And if the games are this rigged, what does that mean for Gi-hun? Because Gi-hun, he wasn't supposed to win. And if he didn't, the entire story would have changed. And speaking of that, what if Gi-hun never won Squid Game? What happens if he dies or if someone else takes the money instead? Click here to see how that would change everything.